Hello everyone, welcome to Sipping Legal Tea with me, Priscilla Duhaney. We're here to delve into the world of law concerning real estate transactions, contract law, personal injury, family dilemmas, and much more. I'll be here to break down any legal jargon and to sip some legal knowledge with you. I've been having a very exciting week going through all these questions concerning capture land. Now, one of the questions that I came across, of course, was what is the procedure to capture government land and whether or not you can capture government land. Now, to go straight to the jugular, yes, you can. You can adversely possess government land. The requirements are pretty much the same as the private land, except that you must be in possession or show evidence of possession for 60 years and not 12, as versus the private land. There has been some recent developments and new requirements that speaks to showing proof of ownership, proof of any change to the structure from its original state as stated in your application. So you must be able to show that if it is that you have been maintaining the property, developing, constructing on the property, you must provide evidence in receipts. If you have purchased the materials, you have paid your contractors, and any other evidence such as photographs, these are also beneficial to your application. In addition to that, of course, you will do your application stating what it is that you have done to maintain and to continue into possession, how you became the owner of that property or adversely possessed that property as now the true owner. And of course, you must provide the supporting declaration from at least 2 persons who would have known the land for the minimum of 30 years. So likewise, for private, you must prove the same, and only to show that it has been 60 years since you have been in possession. So you must provide evidence to verify your status of owning that property within the last 60 years. It might be difficult to do so, but it is doable. It was also interesting that I saw one of the comments that stated that all lands belong to the people and not the government. Interestingly, I wrote an article on March 24, 2024, and it was published in the Observer, which is entitled "Found Gold Belongs to the Government." And I refer that to you so that you can have a read. It speaks to eminent domain, or what many may be more familiar with as compulsory acquisition. Now, the fundamental principle to that is that all land belongs to the crown and not to you or to me. So essentially, the government owns all land. We are merely tenants, or we have a right to hold land. Now that's a different topic for another time, but we can get into it at some other point in time. But just to clarify, all lands belong to the crown, or what we may be more familiar with to say the government who represents the crown. It was, how can we contact the landowners legally if you have interest in finding out the status of the property? And I mean, I commend you if it is that you decide to reach out to the landowner. Now, I can't give you all of the details on this platform. As you know, I can't tell that all of the intentions here might be legit. But I can refer you to the National Land Agency, so you can make contact with them and they may guide you. But it is also possible that if you are legitimately checking and you want to know for sure if it is that someone has an interest in the property before you start making that application, I believe it is most appropriate that you do your necessary checks with the necessary agencies, or you can make contact with us and we can help guide you through the process. And of course, you can book a consultation and I can give you a little bit more detail on how I would navigate the way forward. Squatters on your land, what to do? No, it's simple. If it is that you are the registered proprietor of the land, it simply means that you have the legal document, which we call the duplicate certificate of title. You are the legitimate owner of that property. You have the right to remove them from your property. Now, essentially, what I would suggest is that you first provide notice or serve notice on the squatter, and you provide some form of proof that this was done. So ensure that your notice is properly dated and that there is evidence that it was served on them. Further to that, you must ensure that if you are the true owner of your property and you are the registered proprietor, you must continue to pay your property taxes. Ensure that your receipts are secure. Ensure that you have exercised all the necessary rights and enjoyment of that property. You should visit your property regularly, maintain it, and if it is that you observe any discrepancy with your property, you should make an alarm. As spoken before, you should write to them, write to the individual that you see is enjoying or trying to defeat your interest in your property. You should lodge a caveat as much as possible if it is that you are highly concerned. And of course, you should never give up on being persistent in serving notice and writing to the individual. So remember now, continue paying your property taxes. Ensure that you secure those receipts and property taxes. Ensure that you have some form of communication, proof or evidence of communication, of serving notice or writing demanding removal or eviction of those parties. Further to that, you should always make sure that you visit your property regularly. continue to maintain your property. So cut the lawns if needs be, repaint, fence, show ownership, enjoy your property. Speak to your neighbors. As much as how that may seem trivial, let your neighbors be aware that you are the true owner. And if there's any form of unusual activity being done on the property, they can communicate that to you. That, my friend, is what you need to do to ensure that your title remains your title and your property remains your property. Living on captured land? What to do? Now you have what it is that we call registered lands and unregistered lands. Registered land means that you have title and it is registered in the Book of Titles at the National Land Agency Titles Division. You have the duplicate certificate of title, which shows that you are the legitimate legal owner. Now, if that is the case, then you have obtained the right to be on your land. Then you also have unregistered land. That means there is no duplicate certificate of title that would have been issued in your name. And as a result of that, you may be living on a property that does not have your name. You might not be the legitimate owner. However, you might be living there for a number of years. And if it is that you have met the 12-year requirement and you decide to obtain title, then I would have explained to you the necessary steps that you must take. Now, if it is that you are living on a property that is unregistered and you also have someone who may be interested in that property and it is also unregistered, it simply means that neither of you are the true owner or legitimate owner with a duplicate title in hand. What that means, therefore, is that all bets are off and either of you are in a position to apply for the title. This is called first registration. So what it means is that you may apply for the title to be first registered. So the property must be first registered under the operation of the law. And that process is quite similar to an adverse possession application. And as a result of that, I can only let you know at this juncture that you will still need to have the property taxes, a survey diagram, declarants, and of course, proof or evidence to show that you have been one who has an interest in the property. And therefore, you are the one applying for title. So if you and your neighbor are both contesting ownership of the property and it's unregistered, either of you may apply and obtain title. It's just about who may obtain it first. You. Now, if you have any burning questions, please send them my way on all our social media platforms, whether it is WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, and I'll respond on Sipping Legal Tea. So, if you have any concerns, questions, just shoot them our way and let's sip some legal tea. Thanks.